Hello, I'm Renee Varnador, and this is Soul Portal Journeys. Thank you for joining me. We're in the middle of a Venus retrograde series of videos here. This is part two. Part one is going to be connected at the end of this video. So hopefully you can go back and check out part one, which gives you an overview of the phases that Venus is going to go through during this retrograde period from March 1st to April 12th in 2025. So she begins, and as we follow Venus and her journey, we can follow and step into our own rebirth journey. And so we talked about how this part of the Venus cycle is the rebirth cycle in part one. So if you're interested in that, take a look at that. But right now, I want to look at the chart of the moment that Venus went into retrograde. So here it is. Where I live, she went into retrograde on March 1st. This is Rosarita Beach or Playas de Rosarita in Mexico, where I'm living right now. And there's Venus. If just to orient you, if you're not that familiar with astrology, these are all the astrology signs. So, and this one is Aries. Look at all that Aries action happening, all that fiery energy in the sky. And there's a Venus, not exactly the most comfortable in Aries, but there she is. And see how close she is? She's at 10 degrees. These are the degrees of the sign that they're in. And she is so close to Salacia. What is this? This is Salacia, dwarf planet. And we're going to go a little deeper into this one because look how close she is on this journey. She's been conjunct Salacia, she's been getting ready for this journey mid-February. She's been slowing down. She's been staying at 9 and 10 degrees, and finally, boom, went retrograde. And you can see that there is a star here. These little symbols are all stars. So I put in all of the stars that Venus is going to meet up with and have a conversation with and get insights from on her journey. So I just love it when planets connect with stars because that's another layer, that's another level of consciousness that we get to tap into. That's another dimension that's open to us if we want to access it. It's open to all of us. But if you set the intention to access it, boom, you will. You'll get help that you didn't know was available. At least that's been my experience. So, Algenib, we went in quite a bit and talked about how Algenib is in Pisces and is in no, it's not in Pisces, it's in Aries. You can see right there. No, it's actually in the constellation Pegasus. Okay, and we talked about that in the first video and how amazing it is that three of the stars that Venus is going to interact with are all in Pegasus. So Pegasus is the flying horse in Greek mythology, and boy, do we get to soar with this one. And I'm going to show you a picture of it in a minute. But look how close the moon was. The moon moves pretty fast. It only spends 2.5 days in a sign, and it happened to say, "Hi, Venus." So we had all of this Venus energy in this Mars ruled sign, happening at this Venus retrograde. I think it's great to have the moon and Venus and Salacia, which is a dwarf planet that is like the bottom of the ocean. She's like a sea nymph that Neptune got all interested in. And there's various versions of how that turned out. But she's just like this depth of feminine wisdom walking. I see her walking around on the bottom of the ocean, helping us collect our pools of wisdom that we'd left there, like abandoned into the depths, some of the things we needed, but maybe we didn't need them until later in our life when we were actually going to move into our spiritual destiny, because this is a dwarf planet. Salacia is the higher love. Okay, so she's a higher octave of Venus and Mars, the traditional lovers in mundane astrology. You got your Venus is like, oh my gosh, it's Venus retrograde. I'm going to get back with my ex. No, you don't have to. That's just one level of consciousness. If you want to step into and open into another level of consciousness with Venus and Mars, Salacia is here to help you do that because she is higher love. And so it's this sense of being able to step into the fifth dimension, to step into your own heart, to open those doors that you've barred shut because of all of the stuff that you've experienced with exes. Venus is very much in relationship, but she's more than just relationships with other people, more than just relationships, romantic relationships. She's our relationship with money. And Venus loves us to step into our abundance with money. So that's happening. That can happen during this retrograde, especially with Salacia, higher love there. What am I doing? How am I spending my money on what I value? That's my question for Venus. Not just buying a bunch of beauty products or a bunch of clothes that are too small, hoping I'll get into them. Those are like mundane, materialistic Venus issues that I've been through. I mean, we've all been through it, but I mean, most of us. But this invitation is to open up higher into our hearts, into that part of our heart that says, I am beautiful. I don't need to buy expensive beauty products and clothing. I am beautiful. So just feeling that sense of beauty with this beautiful Venusian energy. She is beauty and she is harmony. And we can go within and find that point of harmony within our own hearts. So we don't have to go to the store and buy a whole bunch of stuff, right? When we find it within ourselves, we don't have to cling to the external stuff. So we feel one of the things that we're going to be doing in our amazing private Patreon group called Intuitives is we're going to be doing a meditation on March 17th in the middle of this retrograde, going into the harmony of Venus. So if you want to know more about that, there's going to be a link to that group. I'm going to have a slide on that later, but I'm just knowing that one of the things that Venus is famous for, because Venus's orbit is harmonious with Earth's orbit, and that's why Venus for us is a planet of harmony, and we can find that more easily within us because we've not only got Venus retrograde happening, but we've got eclipses happening. This is happening in the middle of an eclipse portal. One more thing on the chart I want to look at before I go to the other slides is the fact that Venus and Salacia are opposite another dwarf planet. Salacia is a dwarf planet. It's way beyond Neptune. It's a trans-Neptunian dwarf planet, along with Makemake, and a lot of these were discovered in the around the 2000s. And so Makemake and Salacia, they're both smaller bodies. I think they're both smaller than Pluto and further out. And what happens is that they are opening us into higher levels of consciousness. And the higher level so there's higher love that Salacia is bringing, okay? And then there is this sense of systems intelligence that Makemake is bringing to us. So this sense of seeing the whole, of collecting so many perspectives, so many different ways of seeing the same thing, like we talked about different ways of seeing Venus. Oh my God, my ex, I'm going to call him up. No, you don't. So it can be at that level. It can be at the level of what you buy. It can be at the level of opening your heart to higher love, like Salacia is telling us. So these are some of the perspectives that Makemake helps us see. So that's awesome. So I studied these dwarf planets with an amazing astrologer named Alan Clay at the Dwarf Planet University. You can look him up if this is fascinating to you. And this is what he has to say about Venus conjunct Salacia. Okay, as the retrograde starts. Okay, this is like not just, oh yeah, she moved through that point. No, this is as the retrograde starts, which I think is more important because it's an inception moment. It's a beginning. When you understand the beginning of the journey and the end of the journey, you understand the journey. Okay. So whatever you really want to understand in your life, understand the beginning of the journey, understand the end of the journey. So Venus is conjunct Salacia, and Salacia says, this journey is all about our intimacy with others and with the world as a whole. The sovereignty that we have within that intimacy, the wisdom that we gain through that experience, and the spiritual practices we have in our lives to sustain it. So if we take the time to feel a devotion towards the goddess of love, Venus, okay, we're going to feel in and tap into this Salacia energy much easier. So thank you, Alan Clay, for that one. He's helping us expand our idea of what a relationship is into a sense of intimacy. We can have intimacy with the planets, with the stars, with the cosmos, with the angelic realm or star beings or ascended masters. So there's a lot of intimacy that we can have in relationships. Venus is all about relationships, so it doesn't just have to be with romantic partners or other humans, although that's always nice. So here he is, same Alan Clay, talking now about Makemake in general. So the Salacia quote is from his specifically talking about this retrograde. But here he's talking in general about Makemake. As we develop spiritually, Makemake enables us to see the big picture and integrate this with our personal devotional focus with such depth that it may well be called genius. And as we deepen this cosmic consciousness, we experience the world as an organic whole, which allows us to participate in that whole as fully as possible. So the more parts of ourselves that we open up into and bring back and integrate into ourselves, the more we can see this big picture that Makemake is trying to help us see, the better that we are going to be able to connect with the soulful self that is inside us, wanting to be more fully developed and realized. And once we really open into our soul level and what's going on within our own learnings here, the better we can say, oh, I completed that journey. Oh, I completed that lesson. Oh, I completed that karmic thing. Oh, I completed that ancestral healing. And as we complete and complete and complete, we open more and more into our spiritual destiny. And then that becomes our focus instead of all of these other ways of learning. We've been learning from karma, we've been learning from trauma, so much trauma on this planet, and we get a chance, the more we open our soul, so that we open our heart to be able to create from within our hearts. When we can open into that way of learning, then the karmic way, the trauma way, doesn't have to be the major way we learn on this planet anymore. Wow, wouldn't that be amazing? So here's this beautiful star, Algenib, which I talked about, that Venus is conjunct at the moment she went into retrograde. So she was on this star for a long time, and she's going to continue since mid-February. She's going to continue on conjunct this star until March 13th. Now, this is unusual for Venus. She moves really fast, except when she's stationing to go retrograde, which is what she's been doing. And that's why she stayed on these stars for so long. Now she's kind of still on this degree. I'm filming this on March 8th, and she, went. Oh, happy International Women's Day, by the way. She is, has been on this point, and this whole thing, her retrograde started on March 1st. So she's really on this star for a long time. So this is a perfect time to really tap in and meditate on this star. How can this star help us? It can help us understand and step more fully into the process of creative visualization, which is huge. It's one of my favorite topics. I'll have to do a whole video on that sometime, about how we really can use our imagination to step into and create with what is coming up from within our heart, and learn the process of creative visualization so that we can actually create and manifest with what has been for like this whole time, like within our heart, but was so buried, waiting for all of these activations that have been happening recently with the cosmic forces, so that humanity was actually ready for its next way of learning while on this planet. Wow. I'm here for it. I didn't like the other way. It was hard. This sounds a lot better to me. So I'm trying to figure out this process so I can teach it. So here's the Sabian symbol for the degree that Venus started her retrograde on, which is Aries. She was at 10 degrees 50 minutes, which is really close to 11 degrees Aries. And anything that's between 10 and 11 degrees would have to do with this topic, the president of the country. Now, there are a lot of presidents of the country right now that are not necessarily self-disciplined, and they don't. I mean, some do. I mean, we can see examples on the world stage of some presidents of countries that do have the amazing power of self-discipline, and watching other presidents or prime ministers or dictators who do not have the power of self-discipline, and they do not project a disciplined will. In fact, some of them create chaos, and some of them create just like this dissolving government. There's several governments in the last couple of years that we've watched kind of dissolve. It's part of the process of these times. So don't take it personally. Don't get involved in the play-by-play. Know that it's happening, and then go to Venus, go to higher love, go to Salacia, go to Makemake, and see the bigger picture. That in order for this new way of creating from within our own hearts, the old ways get destroyed. And in order for the old ways to get destroyed, we have to see them. And just take a look on the world stage of the last couple of years. We can see it. So next up, here we go. If you want to join us on March 17th, we are having a very private group, and we're going to talk about multidimensionality and Venus and the eclipses all at the same time. So there's going to be all of these different levels of Venus. A lot of the people in the group have watched my multidimensionality masterclass, and were part of being able to anchor in their own multidimensionality through beautiful points within our heart, and two other points. And we're going to be doing a meditation to go into the harmony within. So if you're feeling the chaos of what's happening on the world stage, okay, this would be really good to find Venus's harmony, find more peace and calm, and centeredness within our own hearts. So this would think about, check it out. The link's going to be below. See if this is something that you want to be part of. It's a group. The reason it's so private and it's, I'm not putting it out on YouTube is because I want people to be able to share from their hearts and help each other. What are we all going through? Whatever it is, it's all related to the times we're living in now, the cosmic forces around us. And we can be those Makemake, different perspectives for each other as we're going through this time. And so to me, this is the most important time to be able to really get with a group of people that you connect with, feel in resonance with. In this case, it's people that are interested in what I'm doing and resonate with me. So if you resonate with what I'm talking about, then you might want to check out this group or some videos of some people that already joined this group. And that's all in the Patreon group. You can go check that out. The link will be below here. And get subscribed to my YouTube channel so that you can see the rest of the Retrograde series. These are all reasons why you might want to step into intuitives. If you feel stuck, if you feel confused, those are actually good signs. Confusion says that you are ready to make a change, make a big leap in your life and really step in to who you truly are so that you can access all of who you truly are, that you can soar free of old patterns. I can show you different ways that we can do that. Feel the joy of co-creating your destiny when you resolve the tensions and the lessons that are embedded in your chart and get activated at transits. Man, oh man, we can step into our spiritual destiny and co-create from that place and open up to our full potential, that which has been inside of us for, in my case, decades, can now come to the surface, be manifest, and be worked with in creation. So if those are things that you are interested in, please take a look at the Patreon group. Please continue watching the Venus retrograde series that I am doing. And it's periodically every couple of days as interesting things happen, as we meet different stars, as we meet different planets. Mercury's coming. They're going to have a chat. Venus and Mercury's chat is going to be good. And the different phases that we go through. Every time there's a new phase, we're going to have another video. So love and blessings to you all. Thank you for joining me here.